Oh my gosh. Hey y'all, it is day 3 and we are walking and decluttering it out. How are y'all doing today? Hey y'all, I'm Ebony, the creator of Humble Enhancement, where we help you to reclaim your space and your mind at the same time. So today we are going to be addressing confusion. How often have you been in a space where you have so much brain fog that you can't even operate straight? You can't even be present for any type of moment. Like, you're sitting there at the computer and you're typing away, but you're not connected to what you're typing. Like, you don't know what you just written, or somebody comes and talks to you and you are literally at a loss you're at a loss with what is actually going on, and you just don't know what's really happening. This confusion is nothing that is sent by God, as He does not like confusion. He does not like giving you mixed signals to the point that you're either delirious, you're second guessing yourself, or that you become so overwhelmed that you start going into depression. That ain't nothing of God. The confusion is keeping you off your track, keeping you off path and away from your own alignment. So I remember when I was coming up and I was younger, I thought that I could literally, when I say literally, do everything with my mind to keep all of the appointments, keep all of everything in my mind, from people's birthdays, from my stuff that was supposed to be done at school, from my kids' events at their schools. It just was not working whatsoever. I constantly kept finding myself forgetting about what to do next. And being that I was young, I thought that I could remember things like I used to without a problem. And that was definitely not the case whatsoever. Hey, I was like, hold on, you look familiar. Huh? And I try to remember everything, but I was getting emails, I was getting phone calls from people saying, oh, you missed your appointment, or hey, you need to turn this into the school, or you didn't pay for this. So I got over the hump of trying to be a super mom. Being a super mom is a very hard task to do. However, it is easy to do with certain management strategies to help you to be more productive with yourself, but also with your family as well, including those that are not in your family. Those are those that are on the outside. So the way to eliminate confusion is by creating a second brain. So how do you create a second brain, right? Well, it's very simple. If you like using your phone a lot, or you are a notebook and pad type of person, like for me, I like the combination of going between a notepad and my phone. When it comes to appointments, I love using my phone, as that is something that I can use immediately and constantly see all the time with no problems. So back to understanding the second brain. The second brain is basically allowing you to do a brain dump somewhere else. You allowing your actual brain to just process information but not store information. We humans are not built to be computers. We are not meant to remember every last thing in this world. Even if you are a parent or a single dad or a single mom, whatever, our brains are not meant to actually sit there to process everything and to store everything in it, because we can have, it's not supposed to process everything because of the simple overload that we can get with stress, which will send us into cardiac arrest. Or like me, at one point I had a panic attack and did not even know what in the world was a panic attack. Never knew the feeling, never seen nobody with it until it happened to me, because I was overwhelmed, I was stressed, and I was putting pressure on me because I was allowing society to make me think that, oh, you're supposed to remember everything, you're supposed to store everything in your brain, yada yada yada. A false narrative and standard to live by will send you in places that you don't want. And that type of confusion, that type of off path is not a part of God's alignment. So to create the second brain, you need to use a notepad or electronic device that you are truly comfortable with, and write down everything that is important, which are all of the dates that you, your family need to do, like all of the appointments that you and your family need to go to, any events with the schools, any family events, any of those important things, all of the vacations. Write that on your calendar. For me, I like to, like I said earlier, to use my phone calendar, as I know that it stores it. And I like the fact that when you are using the digital calendar, you can put timers to it, which ultimately helps you to stay on time, which helps create time management, something that a lot of us probably struggle with and don't want to admit, but having it on your calendar will help. After you write down all of the important events, then write down all the things that have deadlines. This will be any bills. This will be anything that you need to turn into, like the IRS, anything that you need to turn into your accountants, anything that you need to turn into your social media managers, anything of that sort, anything that you need to turn in or you need to get done by a certain time. Put that in your calendar or write that down on your paper. The next thing that you need to do to help your first brain by putting it on your second brain is to then schedule time to be consistent in regards to keeping your schedule organized. This means make a routine in regards to what you want to do first thing in the morning, and assess it along with your energy level, because sometimes when you are an entrepreneur, or not even just an entrepreneur, But most entrepreneurs and professionals, our energy expenditure kind of depletes by 12 p.m. noon because we have so much going on, and our creativity is the most peaked from at least 5 in the morning to maybe 7 in the morning, all the way up until 12 p.m. After that, your mind needs a rest. Your body needs a rest. Your spirit needs a rest after pumping out all of that creativity. As you know, early bird gets the worm, and most times in the morning it's pretty peaceful and quiet, and that is when God is speaking, because there is no confusion around. And if you have a cluttered mind, how are you going to receive any of his words? How are you going to receive any of his guidance? How are you going to move in alignment with the creativity that he has given you if you don't create space in your routine for some peace and quiet? So without the confusion, So when you do this, after you make your routine and you're creating this second brain and you're being more strategic, then make sure, if you have kids, if you're an entrepreneur or a busy professional like me, make sure you schedule time in for your kids. This may sound silly, however, you won't believe how many times you will catch yourself constantly with your head in your business, your head in emails, your head on calls. And when your children are there at home and they're like, Mom, Dad, whoever, Granny, whoever you are that's an entrepreneur or a professional that has children, they're like, hey, I want some time with you. And you're like, oh, hold on one more minute, just one more minute, or give me 5 more minutes. And the next thing you know, you never took the time to stop and play with your kids, because you allow the chaos from one category to spill over into another category that is just important. Again, God does not like confusion, because that keeps your children confused in regards to whether or not they are important. And then once your mind and spirit catches up to itself with reality and things start to become in line, then you are going to feel some type of way in regards to like, crap, I wasn't being a present parent. That's oh my gosh. That is gonna ricochet into your heart feeling heavy. And it's gonna end up going into like your mind is gonna end up going into like a whirlwind of thoughts of like, man, I gotta create space, I gotta do this, but I need to do this and then next thing you know, you didn't confuse yourself out of spending time with your child and justifying it with the fact of bringing in more income. As you know, God is going to provide for you no matter what. It may not be what you want, but he will provide for you exceedingly and abundantly with more than what you can even imagine, if you just stay on the path and stay in alignment with him, because he doesn't grant any of us confusion. So while you're creating the second brain, after you finish scheduling time for your kids, make sure you then schedule time for yourself. Now, This one may be a hard one. You may go against the grain with this, but you need some self-care. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone around you. Everybody's going to be starving emotionally, mentally, because you're not present. You're there, but you're not emotionally present. And that pain is a undescribable type of pain for anyone around you to actually feel, and then have to actually sit there and be okay with it. Just to sit there and just like, all right, it is what it is. I'll suffer in silence. That's not a good look. So I learned that lesson when I was a little younger, and things like that come from different areas of life where there is confusion. So you have to figure out where the confusion started with you and your family, away from your kids, or if you don't have kids, just figure out where that confusion started and see if you are accidentally repeating the same family behaviors or traits or certain dysfunction. We all have dysfunction, and in there we can think that the picture is clear until you actually step back and you see how confusing the circumstances were and how they are affecting you. So once you do all of these steps, you should have a clear mind, a clear spirit. You should know what you are doing. Nothing should be in a confusing state for you as you create clarity with the second brain. Hey. So, what ways have you realized through this conversation that you have some confusion in your life that's throwing you off your path, that is not in alignment with what it is that you are looking forward to actually being or doing in your life? What are some different ways that you can utilize the second brain? Do you find this actually helpful to use? Because having to lean on your natural brain, it's not the most healthiest thing for you and your space. So I want to know, has this been helpful? We're almost down to the wire of being finished. How is this helping you right now? Like, this is day 3 with us exercising, and I want to know, is this starting to feel good to you? I hope that you took the time to actually schedule this in as you're watching it, because it's good for you in the long run to live a life by a schedule, because our brains look for structure, and it actually needs structure in order to actually just stay in a clear state of mind, a clear state of emotions, and to actually feel accomplished with our day. Because when you don't have structure, there's confusion. You don't know which way you're heading, and when you sit back, sometimes you may realize that you didn't spend all these hours doing something and still ain't get nowhere, which is basically considered busy work. So we're about to go in And our focus today is finding a small pile of paper to actually declutter and organize. I know we did this 20-minute walk and we did not stop for a water break, but guess what? I'm about to do that right before I get the piles of paper. So I'll see you in a few seconds. All right, so I hope that you grab your paper, as I've grabbed my paper, which is right here. This paper is a mix of business and things that just need to get stored away elsewhere. So we are going to be focusing on paper clutter and how to clear confusion within your physical space. Now that you grabbed your pile, we are going to separate everything so we know what things are. This is a case that I probably would not need. This will ultimately go in the trash. So this is my win book. I try to make sure that every day I am writing at least 3 different things that happened in my life that were great, so I can create a gratitude booklet for whenever I'm feeling down, whenever I'm feeling like I am not excelling in life. This book helps to propel me forward. This next book is my notes. So when I was talking about creating a second brain, this right here is basically my second brain, as I am able to write down different things that I need to get off of my brain so I can flow in true creativity and creativeness to help propel myself forward as a person, or my family forward, or even just the business forward. Here are the labels that I used in the other video in regards to organizing the other paperwork, but also organizing your swimwear. Using these labels help. When you label things, it makes it easier for you and your family to go back to putting things where they need to be. So it creates a life where you can actually live on autopilot instead of you living on autopilot, trying to manage everything all at once. How many people go to the symphony? I like listening to classical music along with some jazz and stuff like that. This is great. This was a card that they sent out to me after attending one of the events. So I'm going to keep this and I'm going to put it right here. Taxes that I am going to go through later. As of right now, it is not a time to go through that. Who knows? As you see, I got everything organized and separated, as all of the mail and stuff is all everywhere. So now I'm just going to put everything in their actual spots for organization and throw away some of the trash. And at a later time, I'm going to go through the tax papers, as I just want to make sure that everything is together in that folder. So I hope that this has helped. If you are still organizing your papers, keep organizing. separate them into different piles for wherever they may need to go, and then shred any files that you feel are super duper important that has your information on it or any of your family members' information. You can take all of the sensitive materials to a Staples, if you have Staples in your area, Office Max or Office Depot, and they can shred your paper for you. And I think FedEx, I believe, or Kinko's, they can do the same things. I'm not quite sure, just double check me on that. But for the sensitive paper, just take it to one of those locations or find a location near you where you can shred it if you don't have a shredder at home, and release all of that clutter out of your space. And remember, if you want to live life fearlessly, you must declutter and organize on all aspects.